Hey there, friends. How are you? I hope you're having a great day, whatever is happening right now as you are listening to this podcast. Maybe you're working out. That is a lot of you work out while you listen to this. um, Today, I really hope and feel like I just want you to feel like we're just chatting and maybe grab a cup of coffee if you're not working out or just, definitely don't take notes because this is just hopefully a little chat between friends here, which I love. A lot of you have said the podcast in general feels like, but truly, I went to write out notes, went to write out an outline, and was like, you know what? I'm just going to chat with my friends and tell them what's going on. And I'd love to hear it from you. We have talked a lot, if you've been here for any amount of time, on the Healthy Catholic Moms podcast about different kinds of schedules, morning schedules, what morning routines look like, just general stay at home mom schedules, morning routines, night routines, all this. And I think it's so helpful to glean inspiration from each other, take some things that you can apply, leave the rest. And I know this is pretty specific. So if you're listening to this, your chances are good that you are a homeschool mom, or you are just listening thinking maybe there are a couple things I can apply, even though I'm not a homeschool mom. I just want to let you know that this, I obviously do not consider myself any kind of expert in this area at all. I am still a very baby homeschooler here, where my oldest is only in first grade. So I'm quote unquote homeschooling a first grader and a preschooler. But so this lineup of my kids' ages is 6, almost 4, and 2. And then I have a baby due in about a month. So that's what we're working with. But that's a lot of you also are in these age ranges who are homeschooling or not homeschooling, who might be listening, who I've heard from or have worked with, that we have like, oldest kid is 8 and under, bunch of littles under that. And I think, this can be a sticky time to figure out how the heck you even homeschool that one, even though we're only talking about 1 or 2 kids, because of the nature of the chaos of everybody else. I think for me personally, that has been the most daunting thing to plan, and the most daunting thing to actually like encounter in everyday life is I can come up with the most beautiful ideal homeschool day and plan, and we're going to listen to this music, and then we're going to observe this painting, and then we're going to do this and that and hands-on science experiments. And then in reality, you've got a 2-year-old running around like a maniac, like emptying the spice cabinet, and you got to nurse the baby and this and that. So, you know, it's like the Instagram meets reality or versus reality, but it's like our ideal homeschool day versus the reality here. So again, I'm just sharing that I clearly am not an expert. I am still a very much newbie. I have the absolute joy and privilege of getting to see my sisters do it as well. I have 3 sisters who are homeschooling, and 2 have been homeschooling way longer than I have. So I'm around it a lot. I've seen what other people do. And if you're listening to this episode too, you might have listened to other homeschool podcasts or regularly do. And again, just to give yourself ideas. So I'm just going to share my piece on what we are currently doing because you've asked for it. That's the only other reason. Again, so if I could say enough times that I don't think I know what I'm doing, and that is not why I am doing an episode on this, it's literally because it's been requested several times. And I know it doesn't apply to everyone in the audience, so I've held back from doing it. But if a couple of you do enjoy it and, some things that you hear might also work for you, then awesome. But we'll just see what happens, because I just said my little prayer to the Holy Spirit before I started recording. It's like, help me share, what you want me to share in the honest truth, because we're just flying by the seat of our pants here, really, in life and also in this episode, because I have no outline. All right. So our day as a homeschooling family. So I don't want to get too much in the hours and nitty gritty of times because, first of all, just normal privacy reasons. Like, obviously, it's a bunch of my friends listening to this podcast who are in similar phases of life, but on the off chance that there's some lunatic listening who wants to know my husband's work schedule and whatnot, I'm always a little leery of that. Like my race, when I did the race, I'm like, I can't say where it is because what if a crazy person hears this? So I'll just be kind of rough and loose on the times and things like that. But I will say that our setup in general is that one weekday we go to co-op from classes are 8:30 to 1:25, the classes that we go and stay for. So that's one day a week. And then Usually it's like 2 Fridays a month. So it's kind of every other Friday, but not always. We do a saint class with my sisters, and my mom teaches it. So she teaches all the kids about a saint or like the feast or liturgical season that we're in. It might be an Advent one or whatever. So in my book, and then Fridays are also field trip days for some of our homeschool groups and things like that. So I just kind of nix Tuesday, Friday in my mind. Even if it's not a same class week, it might be a field trip. That might be when we schedule play dates, all that kind of stuff. So in general, we're working with 3 other days there: Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, that we are homeschooling with. And I just want to say that the schedule really varies because some days we have to do a grocery run, or some days we have appointments. This is like all of you and all of your normal lives, and you can relate to this. Like, right, okay, I have OB appointments in there now and all this stuff. But just a typical day is what I'm going to kind of share. And then, because I'm just sharing this to let you know too that I've really now prioritized making those other 3 days home days, because I was the person and I like to get out with the kids, and I find it easier sometimes than staying at home. Like, yeah, let's get in the car and go to Trader Joe's. Yeah, let's get in the car and go to the library. Yeah, let's get in the car and whatever. And I have found, like, even just homeschooling, like I said, one and kind of a half, really 2 kids, and then managing the toddler in there even before the baby comes, I need more time home. And then for my sanity and my peace and whatnot, I need more time home to get my other stuff done, to stay on top of the laundry, to be able to make home cooked meals and things like that. Like, I just need more home based time. So I've really kind of clung more to those 3 days of, yes, we might pop out here and there. Wednesdays, we usually pop out to adoration because we have adoration really close by. That's, just on Wednesdays. Or we might we do go to the library at least once a month because our library you can take out for a month, that kind of stuff. But I just want to say that that's kind of a tip too, is I felt way crazier and like disorganized. And this kind of just went with like home management stuff too, when I was never checking in at home, when like I didn't have enough time at home, because then you do come home and you're like, whoa, I have this to do, that to do, da da da, or you're behind in schoolwork. I would first start with, what do you need in being home, and then playing with that schedule. So for us, again, on a normal home based day, I am getting up before the kids, ideally 2 hours before. It's usually like an hour and a half before, to pray, to work out, and then to get ready for the day is really more what it's looked like. I used to, and sometimes do still, kind of quote unquote work in the morning. But it's been very rare that that's when I'll try to record a podcast. Usually, if anything, or something like that. What I usually do, if anything, there work wise, is answer some emails, or if we have a live workout for one of our groups, the Chasing Greatness group or the 8 week challenge, then, I'm technically working, but that was still my workout. So usually it kind of looks like around 5 o'clock wake up. I have been prioritizing, just in this personal season of my life, I'm in my 3rd trimester. I've been playing this a little more with when we get to bed, which we still shoot for. I've done a lot of things on our daily schedules, but my husband and I shoot for like around 9 o'clock in bed. And if I'm in bed beyond 9:30, I'm not setting my alarm till 5:30, and the kids wake up at around 7. So they're allowed to come downstairs at 7. So it's, like I said, a rough 2 hours to an hour and a half that I have by myself. And so that just dictates if I'm going to do any work. But kind of the non-negotiables are usually, lately it's been a groove of workout first, to just get my body going first, so I don't sit and fall asleep when I try to pray. But this goes back and forth. Sometimes I do just wake up, go right to praying for a half hour or so, reading the Bible, like stuff like that is included in there. I have a couple books I'll read. I have silent prayer time, that kind of stuff. Either way, there's prayer and workout, whichever order they're in. And then I like shower, get ready, like get dressed, throw on some makeup. Usually most days I like to feel prepared for the day. I like to kind of look at it as a job, so that, even the little things. I was chatting with one of my sisters the other day saying, like, if I wear slippers throughout the day, I feel more bummish, like sluggish, and not like frumpy, but just like it makes me more lax. It makes me like trudge around the house more than zip around the house. And this is also just a funny thing. This is a whole aside conversation. We need to do an episode. I need to have someone on though, because I'm definitely not qualified in this area, but about like quote unquote the idea of like uniform or just clothing. You know how every time, maybe this is just me, I don't think it is though, that when you're pregnant or postpartum, then you have a whole like outfit crisis. Like we're there. We're at the point where I don't know what to wear now because I'm just really pregnant and like, oh, I'll just do leggings and sweaters for the rest of this time. But then once I'm like able to wear regular clothes again, like, all right, what are we doing here? And my current dilemma is how being barefoot is supposed to be really good for you, right? It's grounding your feet, we're supposedly not made for shoes, all this stuff. And I love to be barefoot in the summer, outside in the grass, all that. And in general, I'm barefoot in my house. Well, I feel though like so much more productive when I wear shoes in the house. And we don't wear shoes in our house. It's just if I'm like unloading groceries and I come in sneakers and I just keep like bringing stuff in and then I just finish unloading in sneakers, I'm like, yeah, let's go. Like it just makes me have a more let's go attitude. So I've been, no pun intended, but kicking around the idea of getting like house sneakers. But then I get to the whole like, all right, well, am I going to wear athletic clothes every day? Because I've been trying to up my style game a little bit to have like nicer clothes that I wear that are more put together, like linen pants or something that like looks a little bit better than leggings, So then would I get like loafers as house shoes, like or slip on? Thinking like canvas slip on shoes is a good in between. These are the things I'm debating. So also email me if you have ideas for this. And then I get back to the like, but it's supposed to be good for you to be barefoot. So should I be wearing house shoes? I don't know, but I'd be really productive. So without my house shoes right now, I don't wear slippers. I just get dressed, get ready for the day, throw on makeup, and here we go. Kids, like I said, are down and excited for life. It's 7 o'clock. I put out breakfast. We do breakfast and that kind of thing. And it's pretty much from 7 to 8:30 ish is usually a loose breakfast time. They kind of know what they have to do after that of clear their spots, go brush their teeth. Everybody goes upstairs, makes their beds, tidies the room. I do have checklists for them that I printed off this summer and laminated, and that's been super helpful. Everybody has one, even the 2-year-old. Like the 3-year-old and the 2-year-old has pictures so that they can stay on track with it. So I can just be like, all right, kind of start working on your checklist and then we're going to get started soon. So they know, what they have to do. And by now we don't really need the checklist for those first couple things of eat breakfast, go make your bed, brush your teeth, tidy the room, whatever. So usually they start free playing around like 8:15 once they've done that kind of stuff. And then I'm, doing the breakfast dishes, starting the laundry or switching the laundry, that kind of stuff. I do go help the 3-year-old make his bed, and kind of oversee the end of that stuff, help change the 2-year-old and whatever. So I'm obviously not just totally doing my own thing at that point, but then it's a loose start to morning time as well. I do ride it here where if everybody's gotten in their own little groove playing nicely, I might go offer to play with the toddler first to kind of give him some attention before we get into our day. So he loves playing catch. I might just ask him if he wants to play catch with me or do a puzzle with me, or I start reading a book with him. And then sometimes the other two kind of wander over and we're just starting like lightly with some reading. This part kind of varies again, or if they're all just in their own zones playing, I might let it go a little longer and get to something on my to-do list that was like home oriented that day, like clean the bathroom real quick or something like that, pay a bill that I need to pay. Like I might squeeze something like that in there. I just really feel it out. But usually then we start typically somewhere in this 8:30 to 9:30 time of starting together with what I just call morning time. Some people call morning basket and symposium, different things, whatever. We come together, start our day together with prayer and the catechism, things like that. And we do a couple subjects together, and the 3-year-old and 2-year-old are free to do as they please. Like they start with us. And I'd say like, you don't have to sit here for this. Oh, I should say actually the very first thing we do is calendar. So they are always there for that because they love that part. The little Velcro, take down the day of the week, put it up, da da da. We sing our little songs, that kind of thing for days of the week, months of the year. My 6-year-old is still fine with it and into it. And then it's still helpful for him. He's still kind of getting the flow of some of those things. And then the 3-year-old and 2-year-old love it. So then I tell them like, then we go to the couch and they are free to stay or go. And usually they're kind of doing a little bit of both. The other day, my 2-year-old wandered back over to look at the art book by the time we got to art, but he had wandered away and was playing with magnet tiles during the catechism part. So also, I'm not going to say obviously all these singular curriculums that we use, but I do use Into the Deep for catechesis. I love it. I've had Olivia on the podcast before, and I didn't have it yet when I had her on. I really love it. We're doing the unit 1 or whatever level 1 is together. And like my 3-year-old usually sticks around for that too and is interested, but we do that book, which incorporates scripture and all these other things. And then we do art, like looking at paintings and things together, not like physically making art, but we look at this art book together. We sometimes do a science reader or sometimes sing a song, a patriotic song, something like that. It's just a little basket I keep of morning time stuff, and I just kind of rotate it. So after that, I usually give my 6-year-old some independent work, and then I get right into working with my 3-year-old / usually also working with my 2-year-old. So for my first grader, this looks like I give him like handwriting or English pages or math worksheets or something like that he's doing on his own map skills. Sitting at the table, and then my 3-year-old is working through. It's really cute. It was pricey. I didn't get it for my first kid because it was pricey, but I did get it for the second kid. Habitat Schoolhouse. If any of you have been using it, we use that, and it's just so beautiful. I think I was just really motivated by beauty this time around, selecting curriculum, and was like, okay, this is so much more expensive than I should pay for a 3-year-old's curriculum, but here we are because I love this. So he and I start that together. And then the 2-year-old at this point usually like, me do schoolwork, So then he's really into using scissors lately. So I will get him some scrap paper and scissors. And we're all just kind of at the table together. This is like the bulk of, I would say the bulk of the work, but for the 6-year-old, it's his independent work. So, he's got a lot more coming later, but he's working through some independent stuff and I'm checking it as we go. But my attention is mostly with the 3-year-old. This is, I think, like story of every homeschool person's life. But then I'm also doing this and I'm also doing this. And then the 2-year-old, like I said, it fluctuates of, okay, he might be cutting stuff. If I know he's going to want to do something similar to what the 2-year-old did or is what the 3-year-old's doing, I will make him a copy of it or something. Like yesterday I previewed the Into the Deep catechism, and it's not a catechism, I should say catechesis. I previewed it and saw that they were referencing St. Therese in there, and we had been just a little bit past her feast day as well. So I printed out some coloring sheets of St. Therese, and my 3-year-old's in a heavy loves to color phase. So I figured that was something he could do in addition to his schoolwork. And I just printed an extra one for the 2-year-old, like, hey, if you want to do this, do this. And he kind of bobs in and out of a lot of our stuff is kind of the flow of the day for him. But I just have that option. If I don't have it, that's when he's like yelling me do it about whatever they're doing. So sometimes I do specific activities with him as well. Like last week, we made little apple trees. We just drew them up and used dot stickers for the apples. And then usually that is the name of the game. Somebody's doing something, the other 1 or 2 want to do it as well. My 6-year-old got in on that too. And he made it a whole thing, drew our family in there and made up a whole story to go with it, whatever. But it was, just from that little thing that I was going to do with the 2-year-old. But this is where then when my 3-year-old's kind of wrapped up, this is where I play it by ear. A lot of times by now it's like 10:30ish and we go outside and take a break. Like earlier this week, we went on a nature walk. I had printed out little scavenger hunt sheets. We went outside for the nature scavenger hunt. We ended up going to the park too, because we were already kind of going to pass it. And by the time we got home, it was just time for lunch and then nap for the little guy. So that means the bulk of my 6-year-old's work that we still didn't get to, like the hands-on where he needs me for it. Like sometimes like math lesson or history we do together, those kinds of things. That's again what some people obviously choose your adventure here. Choose your own adventure. Some people do this as morning time when it's the more like mom intensive things. It just depends for us. But like this was, a day that we then went outside and did this whole thing and then came back and just had lunch. And then when it was time for the little guy's nap, we call it quiet time for everybody else. And we're going to get to his harder subjects there or more mom intensive subjects. But sometimes we just go outside in our own yard for like a half hour, or, we just play this by ear. It's a play break for everybody. Or if the little guys seem really content to still just dig into stuff, this is when I'll just kind of switch. Again, this is about 10:30. I sometimes will put out a snack, and then I'll put out like Play-Doh or kinetic sand or painting for them. And I will try to get some more subjects in with my older. My ideal is truly to have everybody's schoolwork, primarily my first graders, done by nap time, which is usually around 1 o'clock for my littlest, because selfishly, I want to be able to use nap time for my other work. Like I like to have an hour or an hour and a half there where I am sometimes making freebies or making the PDFs for our Chasing Greatness, group or something like that. Like that, I love to use as work time. I'm not usually recording podcasts or videos there or anything. I usually just try to do that when my husband's home an evening or a Saturday. But I will try to, if usually, so back it up further, I usually use the first like 20 minutes to take what I call my union break. And I eat my lunch and read my Kindle. And then I hop into whatever else needs to happen. If it's work for me or doing, this fluctuates a little bit. So my ideal is to have all that work done. I'm just saying that a lot of times, if it's not going to get done without being stressful, or like we wanted to do something else, like the whole nature walk playground thing the other day, then I do use quiet time to work with my oldest kiddo, and the 3-year-old is allowed, he's down with us as well. The only one who's napping is the little one. So they have their own little flow here. This is where during quiet time, they get a half-hour show like Wildcrats or Superbook or Saint movie, whatever, not movie. They get 30 minutes of it, but still. And then they get to do quiet stuff. Now, this is where the checklists come into play again, because I have things on my oldest that he, needs to still get done, like practicing Taekwondo, practice piano, read independently. So it's better for him too if we get his work done earlier, so then he can use some of this quiet time to do his checklist and to play, because he does get, I don't know about your kids that are homeschooled, but I'm like, I think you'd be in for a really rude awakening if you saw how little playtime you get if you actually were in school X amount of hours a day. Because if he does not get like morning time to play and time at quiet time and time at night, it's like, I've had no time to play. I'm like, most of your day is actually playing compared to a lot of other kids. And he's not in a ton of extracurriculars and stuff. So anyways, that is what that's usually looking like, is bulk of our time done. I really try to get his work done before lunch, that I feel better at nap time too, or quiet time. Now, after fast forward then, so little guy gets put down. I take my little union break. The kids are watching their show. That's usually, I don't let them start it until I come down from putting the toddler for nap, so that I get the full benefit of their show. Like that is usually when I'm sitting having my lunch and on my Kindle. And then after that is when, if I do need to work with the oldest, I'll work with him a bit, or I'll dive into work. They sometimes too, like I'll put on an audiobook for them. We listen to Boxcar Children, we listen to Saints Alive podcast, those kinds of things. Then after the little guy's nap, about 3:30, I put out a share plate of, like fruit, nuts, vegetables, pretzels, that kind of thing. And they're allowed to kind of graze on that before dinner. This is when I might be prepping dinner. This is like a total, I'll be honest, crapshoot time where it depends on the day. Like some days we do have Taekwondo at 4:30. So it looks like share plate, get in Taekwondo stuff, get out the door. Like that's what we're looking at. And I'm quickly making dinner so we can have it for when we get home from Taekwondo. Or it looks like as soon as my husband gets home, I'm planning to get out and leave to work. Like today, that's exactly what happened. Is as soon as my husband got home, the plan was me to be able to sit down and record a bunch of podcasts. So I pre-made taco meat yesterday for today. Like, like all of us, we're just trying to kind of get a little ahead of the game and kind of think through our week and see what makes the most sense to let it run more smoothly. I know I said day, but I guess I'll just finish it out too a little bit of, we do obviously try to have dinner then together about 5 nights a week, as much as we can. Like today, he just asked me because I'm staying home to record. Sometimes I'll go out to a coffee shop and work, but I knew I needed to record. So he's like, are you going to come up for dinner? And I was like, yeah, no, like I just need to plow through this. I have a hefty to-do list before the baby comes, and like, yeah, not tonight. And one night he for sure is not home for dinner for work. So those 2 nights are out. I guess that's about our 5 nights. But so we do try to prioritize it the other nights, even if it is somebody as an extracurricular, we try to still work it in. We do the best we can. And then we also, it's usually, the nighttime routine has begun then after that of baths or showers. We don't do that every single night, but when we do, or we might go back outside again or go to a park together while it's still been nice out. That's probably changed by the time this comes out. I'm recording this early October, so we still get that little bit of sunlight. And then we do pray a family rosary before bed, helps them all wind down and then get into bedtime. So that is truly our whole day. Now, like I said, in the flow of the week, things differ. One big difference is on Fridays, because I plan to not do school. So we try to get it all done Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. We call it Tea Time Fridays. And I'm sure this is not a new concept. I know it's not a new concept, but I'm sure many of you have heard about this idea or just read alouds or whatever. And I just get some kind of fun drink or make a fun drink with the older two, then the 6-year-old and the 3-year-old. And we read some kind of special or fun book. We did Alexander the Great. The last 2 weeks took us 2 different ones to do. I did 5 chapters each day. I have some ideas for things that I want to do, Robin Hood and things like that, just a little bit more intensive time. So I plan also then for Friday, like I don't plan on using that quiet time for myself either. It's like, okay, once they get their show and I maybe do my lunch and Kindle break, then after that we do a little special drink and read aloud time and science experiments, because I don't love science experiments, but they really do. And that is something that I cannot work in like daily. It would take up so much of our time. And, but I think is a good thing. And they really do love it and are interested and enjoy it. And I think that's a more quote unquote fun thing. So it's something for them. Like they love Fridays. Like, yes, like on Tuesday, they're like, can't wait till Tea Time Friday. Like just pumped about what, we get to do here. So for myself, when I was kind of trying to structure our day, things I liked that I heard on other podcasts or on other people's days, I liked the idea of starting the day together. So I like that we do that with morning basket time or morning time. I like the idea of just certain anchor points. I also should say, because I didn't really talk much about when I get anything else done, like home wise. I know I snuck in meals and stuff a little bit there, but I just use the pockets of free play time to sneak other things in. Like if they're having a little bit of free play time before lunch, or say after lunch, that actually happened the other day when we did come back from our whole little scavenger hunt and park. Usually then it's like lunch, clean up, put the toddler right down. But they all fell into their own little rhythm playing there too individually. And I was like, you know what? Riding this out, snuck away to my bedroom, folded a bunch of laundry, came out like, so I'm a huge fan of finding the pockets of time. And then we have our own rhythms within our weeks too. Like Thursday is they deep clean their room day. So in the morning, that's like after breakfast. And when they would just make their beds and get dressed, usually they know, and I know that like they need to dust their room. They need to vacuum their room. I am washing the sheets that day. So at another like free play time, I'm going to sneak back upstairs and make their beds, for them. I make their beds when I have to totally remake them after washing the sheets. So I'm not here to give tips or advice. I will just say the things that are working well for us are having some things automated like that, where I know Thursday's deep cleaning day. I know Friday's Tea Time Friday. I know that I need to have several days home and really be home those days. I haven't used grocery pickup, guys, in like over a year. And I used it basically since school started, like the last month, and not all the time. Last Saturday, I ran out to the store with a big list in the morning because I knew there was a bunch of things that I wanted to be in the store in person for to get. But today on the way home, it was a co-op day. Last night I scheduled a Walmart pickup, popped in on the way home so that tomorrow we can be home. We can take our time to do the things that we want to do, to have the outside time, to have the music time, to, all these other things that would be stressful to work in. We just need that time. at home. And so again, another thing that's just working well for us because everybody's different. Some people do cram it all in, like they're like, yeah, we do 2 hours of school, then we're done. That would not work well for us in general. Like usually it looks like a lot more breaks for us. So it is spread out longer. Like I said, I would love to be done by 1 each day and not take any of it into quiet time. But I just have to weigh how that's going and like what that will look like for all of them as the day's going. Because what typically happens is if I were to truck through, my 6-year-old kind of has that much attention span. He still needs breaks and things. But my 2-year-old would just be destroying our home if no one paid attention to him for that long, or we were just trying to plow through. So it's more peaceful to me to take outside breaks, play breaks, free play breaks, like different things. And then I just try to see how much, like I said, a little bit of house stuff in between that. If I'm making bread, I gotta go, stretch and fold the bread real quick and then come back and, might give him a free play break for that and that kind of thing. So I hope this was helpful. I would love to hear if you want to email me some of what your days look like. I would love to do a future episode on sharing just listeners' days as homeschool moms, or just put samples of them in an email. I think that'd be really fun to share. And I hope that, this inspired you in some way, or you've heard something that you might want to take and apply. But I think it can look so different and is so personal to your ages and stages. Like I said, we're going to have a baby soon and we're going to have to work in nursing breaks. It might look very, very different. I might have to find another homeschool day in there. We might have to do some schoolwork on Saturday mornings, if with just my 6-year-old, if it's easier for me to get some in when my husband's home, it is what it is. It's supposed to be flexible. So all right. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And in the meantime, if there's anything you want to look up, programs we have going on or anything like that, just head over to healthycatholicmoms.com. And you can always email me, Brittany at healthycatholicmoms.com. All right. Talk to you next time.